we show up. Make sure our sound's all good. So I'm just going to keep running my mouth until I pop up over here. Sitting inside when we have this great weather outside.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there we go. All right, that's golden. Could you say something real quick for me? Make sure I pick you up.
Test, check, 1, 2, 3. Got me?
I do believe it's a little bit of a lag on it. It usually waits about 30 seconds, just gets processing and back to YouTube, and then. Oh yeah, we got you.
Great.
Outstanding. All right, let me kick over to the schedule here. Hello all, and welcome to the Jcps Digital Learning Channel. Here for our afternoon of training. We have several things going on today. Continuing on, we do have lots of the Savas Realize training moving on again. We have Brandon, and I didn't get your last name, Brandon.
Brandon Abden is my last name.
Brandon Abden. Thank you. Well, Brandon's going to be presenting for the Realize training. I'm Jim Unger with JCPS Digital Learning with the Digital Innovation team. All right. So, after the Realize training, we do have some Title I updates coming from Stacy Edelman and Crystal Hawkins. That'll be very interesting to hear. We also have the MTSS crew talking about web resources for NTI 2.0. And we may or may not have a part 2 to the Savas training at 2:30. I will let you know before then and get the schedule updated. I'm also going to link the schedule into the chat for everyone out there. If you need that, it is there now. All right. Brandon, are you going to be presenting your screen?
Sir.
We have 12:30 now. This is Jim Unger, JCPS Digital Innovation on the Digital Learning Channel, and I'm going to kick it over to Brandon with Savas.
Thank you, Jim. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brandon Abden. I am a curriculum and educational specialist with Savas Learning Company. I am mostly based in Cincinnati, Ohio, but I'm originally from Eastern Kentucky. I went to college at a large state school in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm not going to name it because I know I'm talking to a bunch of people from Louisville. My wife did attend the University of Louisville, though. We are a house divided, but we are both very proud. My wife being from Western Kentucky, me being from Eastern Kentucky. So welcome this afternoon. I am delighted to get to work with JCPS in this and to provide some overall high-level, very high-level training with the Savas Realize platform. So enough about me. Let's get into what we're going to be looking at with the Savas platform. I do have a small PowerPoint deck, but most of what we will be seeing today will be live on the platform itself. You will feel like this is a lot of information. The nice analogy is that you're drinking from a fire hose. However, the nice thing about this and your platform here on YouTube is that you can rewind, check things out, and slow things down a little bit so that you can play through our little sandbox. You're not going to break anything once you get in and start playing through your account. You can't delete things that shouldn't be deleted. You can't make mistakes that will significantly hurt the way the program functions. At the end of this session, I will spend just a few minutes talking about options you have for following up on training with Savas, either online or through direct chats with some of our people. There's also an excellent help tool that's available on the Savas platform, and I'll be showing you that as well. With that having been said, I'm going to share my screen.
Looks good, sir.
Thank you, James. All right.
Could you hit the hide button right down there at the bottom for me? And
yes, sir.
I'll leave you alone at that.
Pointing that out. No, I appreciate it. So, all right. So as I said, this is walking through the Realize platform. If you are looking for a video or information walking through your particular content program, you'll want to look elsewhere. This is for the overalls of accessing the Realize platform. Our agenda looks long today. However, all of these things should flow together pretty nicely. Everything should connect together. And so hopefully you won't feel that we are doing too many stops and starts throughout. I encourage you to find the comments section so that you can post your questions. There are people online during this presentation live that will be able to answer some of those questions. I'll also have time at the very end of the presentation to take questions from some people. And if the moderators feel that there are questions that need to be elevated so that we can address them for the whole group. Before I jump over to the platform live, I think it's really important to spend a few minutes talking about the JCPS instructional core and how, while this is the foundation for what you do in JCPS, it could just as easily be the foundation for the way that the Realize platform has been designed. All three of these circles, standards and curriculum, instruction, and assessment, are also the tenets of the Realize platform. Everything that students encounter on the Realize platform and in the specific content programs is aligned directly to standards and fits within a curriculum that has been scientifically and educationally designed to work with students at multiple levels. We also have assessment tools throughout the program that are meant to feed back information and data so that teachers and leaders can make more informed decisions about standards and curriculum while they are delivering and supporting instruction. Now, it's an important thing for me to say that none of this is meant to replace what you do as teachers. And one of the first things we look at today will be how you can take things that you have created, things that you know you like to use in the classroom, put them on the platform, and integrate them directly into the work that you're doing with other materials available through Savas Realize. So we'll spend some time looking at that as well. We'll cycle back to this instructional core at the end of the presentation for just a few minutes. So for now, I'm going to go off of my PowerPoint presentation, and we are going to go to the Realize Live platform. So first, it's very important to spend a few minutes talking about what you see on this landing page. You could call this many things: the teacher dashboard, the program dashboard, the Realize page. You'll hear me refer to it as the landing page just because that's what I've become familiar with. Everything that teachers need on a daily basis is contained within these three circles. So let's spend a few minutes walking through those circles. The first one, being the browse, is going to contain all of the content relative to your specific Savas program. Now, I'm a consultant for English Language Arts, working primarily with the My Perspectives program, 6 through 12, in Cincinnati Public Schools. But I also consult with other districts around the country in situations like this one with JCPS. So you see that I have the My Perspectives texts with stars. So I have selected these as favorites, just like I'm doing right now. So if you have access to multiple texts or multiple programs on your browse screen, you can select those, and then up at the top, select how you want this screen to appear. Do you want it to appear by grade, by subject, or by favorites? Some of you might be department chairs or reading specialists or school administrators, and you're wanting to access all programs. So because I work with ELA, I like to have a window into what's happening in all the grade levels of ELA. So I have all of these down here, even though I don't work directly with these programs. Some of you may be a department chair teaching 10th and 11th grade. So those are your primary grades, but you wish to also have access to other grade levels as well, so that you can support those people in your department. You can certainly have that here, just organized maybe with your 10th and 11th grade as the favorites at the top of your screen. Clicking on one of these, I'm going to select grade 9 here, which we call the Bird book. Clicking on one of these, you will see how these are organized. Your initial view, the first time you log in, will look like this. Very large tabs, and you would read them across left to right. I don't particularly like that view, so I like to switch mine over to the list view. The list view allows me to see things from top to bottom, and so when I'm in the units of my particular program, you note that I will see those units listed from top to bottom with those program resources that cross over all of the units posted at the very top. I encourage you to always use the in program back button. It just works much more easily. You can use the browser back button, but it doesn't always work the way you would like it to sometimes. When I'm on this page, if I want to get back to my main Realize landing page, you'll notice the black bar at the top of the screen. And on the far left, you see the Savas Realize button with the green, red, and blue. Click it. There's my green. There's my red. There's my blue. So now that we've seen where the content for your programs lie, I want to look over here at the classes. This is just like a teacher opening the grade book. You would click on classes, and because I only have one ninth grade class with this demonstration account, it takes me straight into my class. So I can see the assignments that I've made to that class, as well as the assignments by student, and I can select individual students and see their assignments. We'll go more deeply into that in a moment. Again, using the back button in the browser, I click back and it takes me to ninth grade, but you notice I don't have a back button here. So I'm going to click on my Savas Realize button and it takes me back to my landing page. We'll look more closely at both the Browse and Classes buttons in just a moment. I'm going to go and look at data very briefly, because though teachers may not be looking at data on the daily the way they would be looking at the content of their lessons, the content of their assessments, and their class's progress and performance, data is very helpful because you can break it down in many different ways, not just student mastery, but also based upon the time spent on certain activities, the percentage of completion of certain activities, as well as averages on scores. Again, we'll look more deeply at that in just a moment. So here I am back at that same landing page. We've spent time looking at these three circles. Now I want us to look very closely at this top black bar that I referenced just a few minutes ago. No matter where you are in the program, I'm going to click and bury myself deeply into the program here. I'm just randomly clicking. So here I am on a media vocabulary sheet for the Odyssey. And you notice that that black bar is gone. But I do have an exit button. I can hit back. And even though I'm several menus into the program, here's my black Realize bar at the top. Instead of having to click all the way back, I can simply click Savas Realize and I'm back. Now, let's say, for instance, that I had gone into that ninth grade book and I'd assigned a text. I'd picked something and I clicked assign, which again, we will look at in a few minutes. I want to see exactly which classes I've assigned that to. I can go directly to the classes menu from the black bar at the top of the page. And there's that ninth grade that we saw earlier. So you'll notice that the way this looks is identical. If I hit classes and hit back here, there's that ninth grade. Now, if I had multiple classes in the ninth grade, multiple sections, or I was teaching ninth and 10th grade, I would click classes and I wouldn't go to this list immediately. I would go here where I would see all of my different classes listed. You'll also notice under the classes tab that you have import Google classes. Because of the one-to-one relationship between Realize and Google, changes you make to the Realize platform appear in Google and vice versa. That is a separate training that is also available through Savas. There's also training available for that on your Jefferson County platform and also on Savas, My Savas Training, which is a separate website that I will show you at the end of this session. I'm now going to go back to my circles page or my landing page, and you'll see here's my blue data tab. Notice the color coding alignment. You're going to notice one of these, though. It's kind of a fuchsia, maybe a pink. I'm not sure. But if I click on My Library, I will see a list of things that I have saved to this library from this platform or that I have uploaded myself. Notice here in the library, I can create content by uploading a file from my computer. I can add a link. As you see, I have several links here added. I can build a test. I can write an essay prompt and even use the name escapes me, our essay scorer to give initial feedback on this, but not replace the teacher by grading it. And I can create playlists, and we'll talk more about playlists in just a moment. You'll also notice in the library that you can click My Content or Shared with Me. And just this last year, we've added a feature to this where the administrator on the system for your particular building or your cluster of buildings, depending on how you run it, can actually share files between teachers. So if you create an assignment or you create a test or you create an essay prompt, you can have an administrator go in and share that from your platform over to your colleagues' platforms. It's very nice if you're making custom tests or custom assignments that you would like to use across all of one grade level, or maybe not even grade level. If you're teaching if you're teaching Algebra 1 across multiple grade levels, you could then move it to all teachers who are teaching Algebra 1. I'm going to click the Realize button, knowing that we're going to come back to the library in a little bit. That should cover all of our circles here, as well as the left-hand side of the black bar. A few minutes are worth spending on the right-hand side of the black bar. The first thing here is the magnifying glass, which has really become the universal tool for the universal symbol for search. So of course you can click on that. And this is really useful if you have an idea of what you're looking for. Here's what I mean by that. If I was looking through the program and I know that I had seen a handout relating to, and I'm going to use ELA content here, but I was looking for a handout related to conflict. And I couldn't remember exactly where I found it. I can simply type in the word conflict and hit enter. And the Realize platform searches across all platforms to which I have access, programs to which I have access, and finds them. So you see now showing 1 through 10 of 20 different results. It's nice to know that if I'm a 12th grade teacher, I can then narrow that down and say, okay, I know I need stuff that's on 12th grade. So now I go from 20 results down to 5 results. Think, okay, maybe this is what I was looking for. I can preview this. Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. Or no, it didn't look like that. There's another one down here. It's plot and conflict. Let me see that one. Sometimes this does take a moment to load. All right, I can preview it. Yes, this is the one I was looking for. So I can do a couple of things now. I can download this. If I download this one, most of these download as Word documents, which I can then open. My Microsoft Word is not really working well right now, but you can open them and you can run them through Google Translate. It's nice as reading specialists or intervention or special education teachers that you can add boxes to help guide students with specific instructions. If you're the classroom teacher and you're wanting to group students and differentiate, you can also add material to them. You can then save these to your computer and then re-upload them as custom files. I'm backing up to the previous page. So maybe I don't want to download it. Maybe I want to directly assign it. Or maybe I just want to add it to my playlists. We'll talk about playlists and assigning here in just a moment. For now, I'm going to go back to my Realize landing page. Here, you get specific notifications that might be sent from an administrator on the account. Also, if students have submitted certain things or have comments or feedback, you will be notified about it here. You'll also notice you'll be notified about it under classes where it says assignments and attachments. The universal symbol for help has become the question mark. And this is an excellent help tool. You can search help for specific topics. For example, if I type in Realize, it shows me all of the different help topics that relate directly to Realize. You also have options to go to program training. You'll have to sign in for that. But it is free, and it is my Savas training. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, and how you have more access to, you have access to more videos, more click-through documents that will help you better understand the platform on which you're working. You also have access to technical support. Savas Customer Care shows you how to get that technical support, emails, phone numbers, etc. And finally, you have Contact a Program Specialist. You have two options here. You can try a chat now, and it says use this button to immediately try chatting with a training specialist online. I can promise you that the people you're accessing through this chat are people who are working with this program on a day-to-day basis. I spend time on there. Other colleagues who do the same kind of work, others of my colleagues who do the same kind of work spend time on there, trying our best to answer the questions. If you are asking a question about Realize, you are routed to a person who better understands Realize. If you're asking a question about the ReadyGen program, you are routed to a person who works with and knows the ReadyGen program. If that person is not available, then you may also leave a message. These are logged, and you also have those same experts who are going in and responding to those as soon as possible. I do strongly encourage you, though, to check out this frequently asked questions PDF, because there are a lot of the same questions asked repeatedly. So please check that out first. It's very helpful. The last thing I'd like to point out in the top black bar here is the abstract human icon, and that is related directly to you and your settings. So you can click Settings here. In clicking Settings, it takes you to a couple of options for your account. You can reset your password. You may be able to change your username. Notice I cannot change my username. You may not be able to change your password at this point. It depends on the securities that the district has established. So it may look slightly different here. Again, here is how you would import information from Google. You can also search through My Programs. I'm sorry, I just said Google and my phone woke up, so I had to turn that off. You can also go to My Programs, where you will see listed all the programs to which you could have access. You see I have selected Reading Street. I also have selected My Perspectives and My View Literacy, because these are all related to ELA. If you make any changes to any of these, please make certain that you click Save at the bottom right-hand corner. You can also edit some of your information if you want to change your profile pictures or what people call you, or change even the grades you teach if you're moving up and down in grade levels. So now I'm going to go back to the main page. So that should cover everything in this teacher dashboard, what I have referred to as the landing page. You should be able to access everything you need to do everything you need in your class here. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is something we've already dipped our toes in slightly, and that is accessing content. I'd like all of you to know that I am going to be relying on accessing English language arts content, but most of the programs, I'd say almost all of the programs that are on Realize run in similar ways. They don't always have all of the options, just like my perspectives, the ELA option that we're going to be looking at, doesn't always have all of the options that the other programs have. But for the most part, things are very similar. So I'm going to click on Browse. And here is, of course, my favorites at the top here with the ELA grades 6 through 12, my Perspectives program. I'm going to click on the Bird Book. And again, you'll see that because I chose List View earlier, it has remained in List View. So what you're going to find is there's so much information here, it's easy to get lost. You're going to become comfortable with doing a few things and doing a few things well. That's my advice to all teachers. So you can click through some different things to support you. Integrating with Google Classroom gets you started with that. Getting started with my Perspectives is specific to the ELA program, but there are similar tabs on other programs where you will have videos on the program overview, teacher how-to videos, support for additional resources. You also have teacher resources available to you, unit planning guides, and then resources for students to integrate app-based work and so on. The distance learning tab will come to at the end of this session because it's brand new, not even a week old yet. And I really want to demonstrate that to you all. And I want it to be the last thing on your mind as we're leaving this. But what I want to point out is that this program, the ELA program, and many programs are set up such that these two tabs are the only ones that really are the most important. Now, something I did not talk about in the earlier session of this that I do want to point out is this open book with the little home icon. This is a new icon for us, and this indicates that there are resources in there related directly to distance learning, remote learning, or non-traditional instruction. You'll see that it has a lock on it. The reason some of these things are locked is so that you know that students cannot access these things from their side. We'll see what that looks like in just a moment. But you don't want students accessing assessments until you've assigned those assessments clearly. However, they can access unit resources, they can access the books, and so on. Another example of that is above, where you see students cannot access the teacher's edition, but they can access the student edition through the student platform. I'll show you exactly what the student platform looks like in just a few minutes. I'm going to click on Unit Resources, and I'm going to go ahead and select the first unit. So within this first unit, you're going to notice that I have my list of materials, readings, other things that I need to teach this unit. It's important to know that not only for the My Perspectives ELA, but for other SAVAS programs, every single thing you have in student books is available online. And there are many things available online to help supplement what's in those student books. Before we start digging into what's in some of these menus, I want to show you how this is set up. You'll notice there are a few things, the home connection letter, the Spanish connection letter, that have options to assign, to add to playlist, or to get some more information. However, when I get down here to the Unit 1 answer key, I can add it to a playlist, but I can't assign it. And it is also locked so that students cannot access that. When I come down here to the Unit 1 introduction, however, I can neither add it to a playlist, nor can I assign it. But you notice a little caret or the arrow over to the right. If I click on that, it's simply indicating that there's a submenu to that, and there are things under it. So with the unit introduction for the My Perspectives program, teachers are expected to walk students through the introduction activities, and students do the work there. Introduction launch text at the beginning of every unit. And then there's also an audio summary and a discussion board activity that the teachers might use. Note that all of these have assign buttons as well as add to playlist buttons, which means that these are things that could be used in direct instruction with students. So I'm going to come down, and in a previous video, I worked on a quilt of a country. Now I'm going to work on a different text. I'm going to look at the immigrant contribution. So I'm going to click on the immigrant contribution. And when I go in there, you will see that here is the student edition text. I'm going to click on this for just a moment, though I know this is not about the English Language Arts program. I want you to see that it takes me outside of the regular Realize platform into what we call the Realize Reader. Please note that the black bar for Realize at the top is gone. However, I do maintain that exit arrow. Within this ELA, the students are in the book. Students can do everything with the text here that they can with the book physically in their hands, except for take scissors and cut it out. They can highlight, they can circle, underline, whatever the directions you want them to follow. And they can also add annotations, and all teachers can go in and see that under those students' names. All the book work is listed on the right with digital options to complete that work. This is very similar to other programs. Students would go into here, fill it out, and you would be able to, as the teacher, review the work that they have done. I show you that because that is exactly the same reading and the same assignments that exist in the physical book, like I talked about earlier. However, below it, you'll notice that there is a wealth of other supplemental material. You'll notice this across different programs on the Savas platform. And so I know that if I'm going to teach this text, I want to use this particular file. So I'm going to go ahead and select that file. As I scroll down, I know that I'm going to want to grab this accessible level text, because in the ELA program, this is a text that is essentially the same as the immigrant contribution, but it has been adjusted in different ways to meet students at a different Lexile level below the grade level where they're functioning. Students can still complete the same activities. It's just a more accessible text for differentiated learning. So I'm definitely going to grab that. I know I'll need the audio summary. Then I continue to look through here. I don't want to worry about the first read extension questions yet because it's still Unit 1 and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into those. So I'm just not going to worry about it. But I know that students in ELA struggle significantly with craft and structure. I'm not making that up just to model. That is true. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these because those are things I know I want to touch on early in the year. So I grabbed both of them. You see they're the same title. However, the second one has R&P for Reteach and Practice. Some teachers will refer to this sometimes as Remediate and Practice or Remediation and Practice, and that's okay. Reteach and Practice is officially how we refer to it. I'm going to scroll down and see if there's anything else I want to grab. Not right now. I don't want to get into sentence structure and conventions of grammar and things yet. So that's all I want to grab for now, knowing I can come back to this menu later. So I could go ahead and assign all of these, but I don't want to assign all of them and worry about assignment dates yet because it's early in the year and I don't quite know how students are going to adapt to non-traditional instruction and what dates I want to give them yet. But I know I want to use these materials. So I'm going to add all of these things to a playlist. So I want to create a new playlist. I'm going to title this Grade 9, Unit 1, Immigrant Contribution. Click Create Playlist. Notice it says Immigrant Contribution is created in my library. 5 content items are added to this playlist. So I'm not going to go see the playlist yet. So everything I now have here is in that playlist. So please notice, to get here, I had to click once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and still the things I thought I was going to use aren't all clicked. So I'm not sure unless I've made notes somewhere else. However, since I've created a playlist, starting from my landing page, I can simply click on my library, and here is my playlist, Grade 9, Unit 1, Immigrant Contribution. 2 clicks, as opposed to 5 or 6 clicks and some scrolling. From here, I can assign all of these, or I can assign individual ones. I can also edit this, and that I would remove things from the playlist, change the name of it, and so on. However, there's more to it than just that. Notice that I have this structure worksheet for ESL 2, not TWO, but 2. So it's structure of an argument for ESL, and it's another one that I've run through Google Translate. I uploaded this from my computer, just like I uploaded this classroom adjusted rubric. I went to upload a file, attach from computer. And of course, I'll look for what I want it to attach. And the ESL one's not easily accessible, but the rubric one I know is. All right, and then I have all these files that I could upload. I could add to different modules if I wanted students to spend time with that. But I can upload all of that material here. And I can add links. So you're going to notice down here that I have this audio of the seventh man, which is a text in one of these, which is a text being read in one of the English programs. I also have this listen wise story. So what is this? This is an NPR story that relates to a family slave's history. And so maybe that's something I want to use in this first unit as well. Well, while I'm in the Realize platform, in that library, I can take this, add it to a playlist, select the same playlist, go to that playlist, and there's the Listen Wise story. I could also add these other resources that I have uploaded. Since I'm so worried about students better understanding and mastering structure, I really want to help my ESL students start to think about that. They are just as capable as my English as a first language students. So I just need to make certain that I'm engaging them in different ways. So I'm going to add that and then go to playlist, and then you'll notice there's my structure worksheet for ESL 2. Okay, so I have access to all of these things and can now assign them. Well, I have different options for assigning as well. Let's say I just want to assign this reteaching and practice sheet to one student who has been struggling particularly with that skill. I can click assign, select the date that it's going to start. So the student would be able to see it the day after tomorrow, Thursday. And I want them to finish it by the end of the day on Friday. Now I'm assigning something on Thursday. They might not get it till later in the afternoon. it's remote learning, non-traditional instruction. I'm going to make it do on Monday instead. I can even select this and choose specific times. This is excellent for assessments. This is also excellent if you want students to have completed certain things before you meet with them during office hours or during face-to-face, well, virtual face-to-face direct instruction. So keep that in mind as well. Up here, I have several options. I can select the name of the class, in this case, my 9th grade class, and it would go to all students in that class. I could go to a group. So I have 2 groups that I've created for this class, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. But one of them is a group that I call one reading level back. The students will not see that name. I see it. Okay, so I don't have to come up with some sort of name that hides what they are. These students are reading one level behind their peers. So I need to know that. Versus this group is reading one grade level above their peers. So maybe I would want to assign it to just those individuals, just the students in those groups. Only they would see that assignment. Other students would not know that you had assigned it only to those groups unless students talk. And yes, I know students talk. I didn't mean to close out of that. But I talked about assigning this just to one student. So I'm going to go and find that one student. And because this is a demo account, I always have the same student. And this poor student gets all the assignments for this class. And his name is Sturgill. And if you know Kentucky musicians, you'll recognize the name. It's one of my favorites as well, Sturgill Simpson. So I'm going to assign just this reteaching and practice activity to Sturgill. I'm going to click Assign. It tells me that I've created an assignment. Excellent. Now I could select all and deselect that and then assign the rest of those, not the reteaching and practice, but assign the rest of those to the entire class if I chose. I have to set the dates and instructions. Now I want to talk about instructions for just a moment. I encourage teachers to type out instructions in detail in a separate document, a Word document or a Google Docs, and then cut and paste it in here so that you have it. Another option that I strongly have worked with teachers and encourage them to do is to use some sort of program that uses screen capture. Screencast-O-Matic, Screencastify, Google Classroom has functions like this. There are other programs that do it so that you can walk students through exactly what you want them to do. Lots of these programs give you free videos. I use Screencast-O-Matic. I've used it for years. I'm not in any way paid to plug them, but they allow you an unlimited number of videos up to 15 minutes.
Brandon, you make a really good point, and I'm glad you brought that up. Our district just got, at the beginning of this school year, Screencastify Premium for all of our teachers.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So this is perfect.
That's wonderful, Jim. Yes. So I really encourage teachers, not just for remote learning. I'm talking like when students are in the classroom too. It would be really valuable to take 5 minutes to walk students through exactly what you're wanting them to do and then giving them the link here in the instructions, or even giving them the link if you are face-to-face in the classroom at some point, giving them the link face-to-face, because how many times do you find yourself, A, having to give the same instructions to 6 different periods during the day, and B, having to repeat instructions to students who couldn't listen for some reason, who didn't understand, or who missed. So thank you, Jim, for that. And yes, you'll still have to do some explaining to students who didn't understand exactly what you said, but it's so nice to have it to rewind, and it will really only take you 5 minutes. And if you hate your voice, if you hate the way you sound when you're recorded, you don't have to listen to it. They do. So remember that. But I strongly encourage you just to drop that link in these instructions. Very useful tool. So I'm going to cancel out of this. So now what we have is we have a class of students with one in particular student who has been assigned a task. And I want to go look at that. So I'm going to click on classes. And of course, it takes me straight to this menu. I click back so we can see ninth grade. I want you to see all the options you have here when you're looking at classes. So here we just assigned something. So I can click assignments. And I can see all the things that have been assigned as I work down the row here. And they are listed by due date. So the thing that I just assigned, analyze, craft, and structure, purpose, and persuasion, reteach and practice, is right here below this test, because this test is coming up and due on the 17th. This activity is due on the 14th. If I click on this activity, it shows me a score. I can edit the activity, I can hide it, I can preview what it looks like. So a preview is just a reminder to me. Okay, students can turn it in directly, or they can attach a file if they have to download this and complete it. All right, once that student has finished it and uploaded it or said that they are finished, I will have an option to score it, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. But here I can see it's just been assigned to Sturgill Simpson. If I scroll down, you'll see Unit 1 test has been completed, but not necessarily scored all the way. If I click on that, it tells me, uh-oh, be careful, one submission has not been scored. I can edit it, I can hide it, I can preview it, I can review and send scores. So if I click review and send scores, here Sturgill was assigned that test. I've not scored it yet because there are particular questions that he had to type out an answer. And you see, I just ran my fingers over my keyboard so I could have an answer. And then out of 4 points, how many points are you going to give it? Maybe I give it 3 points. I click save and continue. This one, I give it the 1 point out of 1. This one, I'll give the 2 points out of 2. And then this one, I'm going to give 3 points out of 4. Okay, it says that the scores have been saved. I can see all of his answers. If I want to see, okay, he missed one. There were 2 parts to this. He got 1 point out of 2. And I can see the questions and see what he had to do exactly. So I can review all of that completely. And when I'm done, I can click review and send scores. Shows me that he got a 36%. Not that great. I've not sent the score to students yet. So if I'm not finished, if you're in the middle of grading something and you don't want to show your students the grades, you don't do it until you click send score to all students. Click send. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment on the student side. But again, we go back to ninth grade. You had that for assignments. You can also see a calendar. And what I really like about this is this shows me the due dates for all of these different assignments. They're clickable, so I can click on them, go in and see particular details about them, and see exactly what I've asked students to do. So once things have been assigned, I don't have to go back into the platform, the program. I can simply go through the calendar. I'm going to back up out of this. You also have access to your discussion boards if you've created them. This is where you have access to students and groups, like I mentioned earlier. So when you're looking at your individual students, sometimes you can edit their name, you can reset their password, however, you cannot see their password, or you can remove them. Now, you may not have access to all of these options based upon the district's settings. So this may look slightly different to you. What you will have access to is show groups. And I know that I have 5 students in this group, and I can mouse over that number and see the 5. If I click on it, it shows me those 5 students. If I click on Manage Students and Groups, it shows me I can click on them. Maybe I want to add this student to that group. Now it shows that there are 6. All right, perfect. I'm going to save it. Now here's my accelerated reading group. Manage students. Here I can see the 2 students are in that. Now let's go ahead and add Willie Nelson in there too. He's a pretty good reader. He's been around a while. So let's add him to that. Make sure you click save. And there I now have 3 students in there. Let's go back. And here I can change some small class settings. I can change the name. In Cincinnati, they cannot change the name. I wish that they could. We're working on that because it ends up getting a little bit confusing, but it does work out. But then you can also see if you need to add programs and have permission, if you want to change the class picture, change the theme, depending on the grade level you're teaching, and so on. So now before we go to look at the student experience, I want to switch over and look at assessments. So if you remember, I told you there were 2 tabs that with this My Perspectives program, you could live most of the year in. That's Unit Resources and Assessments. Notice that with the assessments, I have these things locked. They can't be assigned. Sorry, they can't be accessed by students outside of the platform. But almost all the assessments on Realize have the same or similar materials. I can look at all the questions. I can customize by adding my own questions or taking questions off. If you take a question off of a unit test, you're now customizing a test. And you can still, you're not deleting the question completely from the platform or anything else. It's just not on that custom test. You also have access to remediation. What I love about this and the reteaching and practice and other things, the philosophy behind all of the programs on Realize is not teach and assess, teach and assess, teach and assess. It's teach, assess, and then move forward. So what do I need to assign to students, or what do I need to do with students in order to move them forward when they're struggling with something? It's all about positivist approaches to progress. You see the print version of that same exam. And here you also see an interpretation guide for that exam. This is often overlooked, but you see alignments with the objective, the instructional standards, with the test item, and even the depth of knowledge levels. You then have skill pages that are referenced on the platform. You can actually copy this and search for it in the search tool. And then you have reference to Common Core companion pages, and that's very specific to ELA, so I won't dig into that very much right now. So let's say that I have taken this Unit 2 test and I've assigned it to a group. And you'll see when I go to classes and I go to assignments, it has already been assigned. All right, if I want to click on it, it opens up to them on the 16th, and it is due by the end of the day on the 17th. 0 of them have completed it, 0 are in progress, and 10 have not started it. All right, so let's jump over and see what that looks like from the student side. So here I am on the teacher landing page. And when I switch over to the student side, you're going to notice something. What you're going to notice is not a whole lot's different. The background might be different based on what the student had chosen. Here the student can browse into the program. This student has only been assigned English Language Arts grade 9. If the student was also doing another program, say Reteach, then they would click browse and they would be taken to a menu that had both ELA and, both the My Perspectives program and the Reteach program. But here you can see what students have access to from their menu, and it's sparse compared to what you have access to. Unit Resources, Unit 1, And if you remember, the list of material they had access to was very long. You had access to was very long, but they simply have the student edition. On their classes, they have listed when the next assignment was due, but this is overdue. The student really never needs to go into the browse. As long as the teacher is assigning things, teachers should just be able to go to classes. Sorry, students should just be able to go to classes and see what has been assigned. Here's things that they have not started, things that they have in progress, and things that they have completed. You'll also notice that they have access over here to download the PDF of the student edition, which is nice. They can go to things that they've completed, click on them, and actually go back and look at how they performed. Things they need practice with, things they've mastered. They can look at the questions, see what they got right and what they got wrong. And then again, they can actually go and review the question itself. Then you'll notice grades. It's not just a listing of grades of assignments and the grades you got on them. It shows you your average score on tests. Again, I can click on that and see the same information I saw earlier. But it also shows me my progress. I've completed 2 assignments on time. I've got these 2 assignments in progress, and lays things out for me so that I can see how I'm doing as far as getting things done and doing the work. This is really nice because it's not just, I got it done and here's my grade. It's how I'm progressing, what my averages are, what specific skills I'm working on. And this is excellent for sitting down and conferring with students. It's really important that when students are looking at classes, that they recognize that there's a not started, in progress, and completed tab. Too many times I get notes from teachers where students have lost assignments, and it's just simply that they're no longer in the not started. The student may have just clicked on it to see what it was, and it moves it into in progress. All right. So now that you've seen what the student sees, I'm going to take us back just for a moment so that you can see what the data looks like. Now, the information in this demo account is not very complete, but you will be able to see just a snippet what it looks like. When you click on data, you can see 9th grade data, class results by assignment, or class mastery by standard. Here's the difference between the 2 of these. This is class results by each assignment you've made across the year, and you can narrow the time to the past month so that it's hard sometimes if you feel like you're looking at the last 6 months of assignments, and you can narrow that down. Class mastery by standard is just those things to which mastery applies. In the case of the My Perspectives program with ELA, the class mastery is measured by the unit tests, by the selection tests, and by the beginning, middle, and end of year tests. So let's look at this just for a moment, class results by assignment. And it's telling me I can't do that. I've never seen that warning in my life. So let's see if we get something here. I'm going to stop this and there we go. Excellent. So here you see across all assignments, I can, and there's not many here. These are active bars, so I can mouse over them and see what it was, selection test, the due date, average score. I can click on it, see all the students it was assigned to. I can see if they reached 70% of mastery or not. I can see the standard, and I can go and view resources to help with that standard. And that's what I talked earlier about, that positivist improvement approach. I can analyze the question, I can look at it by student, and then I can look at it by performance analysis. And when I look at it by performance analysis, I'm not going to waste time on this if it's going to move too slowly. Great. I can have different breakpoints and then show performance, and it will tell me students who are above 70 or below 70, vice versa, and I can assign resources as well. The last thing I'll show you here, last things I'll show you here, you can see individual progress on assignments, how many students have gotten done what they were supposed to get done. Again, the bars are active. And then one of my favorite things is how much time was spent on each task. And I can click on the bars and see by student each activity and then how much average time they spent on the activity. The last thing I'll show you as far as data goes is class mastery by standard. It looks very similar to what we saw earlier, except it tracks the standard across all assessments, not just individual assessments. And you can export all of this data into spreadsheets so that you can sort the data in different ways and create different reportable graphs and tables. The very last thing I will show you, and gosh, I wish we had more time for this, but this just is less than a week old. I encourage you to go into your programs and check out the different options that are available for distance learning. You can turn on what we call the distance learning toggle, and then only those things that are useful for remote distance learning or remote learning or non-traditional instruction appear. And we have a distance learning menu that provides lots of support for different programs, videos, sample lesson plans, etc. for distance learning. So please check that out. And I know your district's already providing a lot of that. So we're reaching the end here. And I wanted to bring us back here. Hopefully you've seen how everything on the Realize platform stands on the same tripod that what you all are doing in JCPS. The standards and curriculum, assessment, and instruction are all informing everything that's happening on there, just like they're informing everything that you all are doing for students at JCPS. Also in this PowerPoint, I've included links, and I encourage you to check these out. You can go to mysavistraining.com. You can go to the Savas Realize Help that's on that main page. You can also search Savas on YouTube for our excellent site with lots of and a growing number of support videos. And with that, I'd like to see if there are any questions, or if, Jim, you would simply like to wrap up. I'm here for you all.
Yeah, Brandon, that was great. There's so many things that I would love to pull out of that, and I know we're running short on time, as you said. There were a couple questions in the chat, and we had some of our team clear those out.
Great.
I really just enjoyed the amount of material that is obviously in here is just incredible. I'd like to hit on the point that you said, like when you're recording instructions for students, that's just good practice. And I think we're learning a lot of those things that we maybe not were doing before that will transfer into that brick and mortar classroom, that we can use those.
On a funny note, I'd like to say that it's in the video is now the new it's in the syllabus.
Right. And then seeing, like, right at the end, I was really hitting on all of the feedback tools you had when you were in the grades, the results, the completed assignments. Being able to conference with students with that would be very powerful, because typically you give an assignment back in the normal classroom, it's gone. But here you can go back through and look at all these pieces they've done, even if it's for reinforcement, and say, okay, this is what we had, and then you have that ability to say, okay, so there's these extra pieces that we can do to work on that. It's just so great with the material in there.
And I think if parents as well learn to see those three tabs for, not yet started, in progress, complete, then they can ask students to show that to them so they can see what they should be working on.
Yeah, exactly. Not only do we have,
having to be constantly passed back and forth between teacher and parent.
Yeah, teachers aren't only involved now. Parents are really getting more involved in understanding, what is a Google Classroom? What is this Savas that I'm in? What are these things able to show me? So you said you did your homework, but I look right here, I know how to read this now. Yeah, so that's amazing. Well, thank you, Brandon. Any last words?
No, I just want to say what I said this morning. All of us that are trying to support you teachers, and those of you who are doing support work for teachers, we know the work you're doing. We know how difficult it is, and anything we can do to help support that, please let us know. Anything we can do to make your job easier will help everybody else out.
All right. Well, thank you, Brandon. We certainly appreciate it. I'm sure we'll have you back as this continues on and we get more comfortable with working with these things.
Yep. Happy to help. Have a great day.
All right. You too. All right. Well, I'm Jim Unger with JCPS Digital Innovation. You're watching the JCPS Digital Learning Channel. And coming up next, we have some Title I updates, and I'm going to refresh this because I think there's some pieces linked on here now. There we go. Title I updates with Stacy Edelman and Crystal Hawkins. And then at 2 o'clock, we will have, there was Savas Training Part 2, and that's going to be an on-demand, and it's linked in the schedule. You also have, there's an amazing episode at 3 o'clock that's also on demand, but I highly recommend it because it was me, on Minecraft education, and we now have it on Chromebooks in the district, which is amazing. Big win. And then at 3:30, there's the School C NXT for teachers. Find out what all of that stuff is. How do I communicate with parents and students through that platform, that tool? How can I use it best? That is also linked on there, so you can see those. All right, and I saw Stacy and Crystal hanging out in the Hangout for me. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hello, hello.
Hello. All right. So I took up a little bit of your time. I don't want to take any more. Who's going to be presenting?
I'm going to be sharing my screen and
All right.
presenting. You have to remind me how to do it, though.
That's all right. If you go to the 3 dots at the top right, it should offer you to share screen.
Yep.
And then you can pick either application or your entire screen. I think we typically just do our entire screen.
Yeah, my application isn't showing up anyway.
Well,
it's not letting me share. The share button's not working.
well, that's interesting. Maybe give it a minute. I saw that this morning happen. Just give it a moment and then click it again and see if it comes up. And then make sure once you have to actually select, even if there's only one, you have to click on it and then the share button should light up.
Got it.
And I'm doing it on mine as if you could see it, and I know you cannot, but our viewers did get to see it. That looks great.
Is it showing up now?
Absolutely. 2020 Title I, beginning of the year updates. And if you could you turn on closed captioning for me on that bottom bar? You are fabulous. Thank you.
Does it matter? What size do you like to do?
You can go medium or large.
Okay. All right. Are we ready to go?
It is all yours, and I will get off here and quit bothering you. And Crystal, I know you're there too, even though I'm harassing Stacy.
Well, thank you. Welcome, everyone. We're excited to have the opportunity to talk with you this afternoon about some Title I beginning of the year updates. We will have this recorded, of course, and have this available as well as our slide deck, which is linked on the Digital Learning Channel calendar for you. And this is information that is appropriate for principals, for other school administrators, and definitely for the family engagement leads at all of our schools. So I am Stacy Edelman. I am the Director of Federal and State Programs for JCPS. And also joining us today is Crystal Hawkins, our District Family Engagement Specialist. And also some other names you need to know. As part of our office are Karen Moore, our Title I Fiscal Coordinator, but she is also over lots of grants that we manage in the district. And Martha Hack is our Department Secretary. We are all still working from home, as are almost all of you. So the best way to get in touch with us is email, JCPS email, of course. And then if there's something that you need to discuss over the phone or talk about, you can shoot us a phone number and we can give you a call. So the reason we wanted to get on the calendar early for this training is because there are some things that are due by federal law, and we need to get them taken care of and submitted by all of our Title I schools by the end of October. Even though we are in a pandemic, we are working from home, we are doing NTI, and kids aren't in school buildings, we are not absolved of our requirements in the federal Title I law. So these things are going to have to happen. So I'm going to turn this over to Crystal, who is going to talk to you more in depth about the parent and family engagement requirements, as well as some ways to think about and enhance the ways that you're engaging with your families during this time.
Thank you, Stacy. And one thing to keep in mind, and thank you to all that are joining or watching the recording later. This gives you a lot of information, but again, if there's anything that that confuses you or that you have questions about, let us know. But if you look at the due nows, you'll notice that October 31st is the day to get in your parent and family engagement policy, your compact, and your annual meeting information, which I'll explain. But do now what we really need from you, and I'll show you where to get to this to where you can submit it, is we need to know your school family engagement lead and your parent advisory council representative. So as we move on, I'll show you how to get that to us. So when thinking about how to engage your families during NTI, this training is really to explain engaging your families from a lens of what's required as a Title I school. Many of you all may know that as a Title I school, you have a lot of your requirements are around parent engagement. And so a lot of the support we offer is going to already help you with these items. So I am, for the sake of you trying to put together what do we have to do, what's on the outlook, I'm literally going to go through the main parent engagement requirements and then explain when it's due and then how we're going to support you with that. So the first one you'll see is that you must distribute a copy of our district's parent and family engagement policy. You can find that in the handbook that I have linked. And the policy that I have in the handbook right now is from last year. So it hasn't officially been updated, but it is okay that you share that one. So it's in the handbook that I have linked, and that is by October 31st. The second one is that everyone must have an annual meeting, which is probably like an open house, an orientation, to just let your parents know that we are a Title I school and what that entails. And so that is due on October 31st. Now you may be wondering, okay, it's NTI. What does an open house look like during NTI? We understand it may look a lot different than previous years. So it may be in the form of a Zoom meeting. It could be a school drive-through where you're giving information, but maybe getting some feedback from them later. If you have other ideas, if you've considered other things, feel free to shoot us ideas, or if you want additional ideas, we'd be happy to plan with you. But basically, as the way that you're able to virtually let your families know that we're a Title I school, here's how we're utilizing Title I funds, and also to get some input from them on how they may give some suggestions on how funds are spent. All right, your third requirement, and again, there is a lot of support that we'll offer in our family engagement planning that will help you with all of these items. But the third item is getting your school parent compact and your parent and family engagement policy. So last year, if you submitted a family engagement lead and your family engagement lead and team were active with our work and with NCFL, you should have received some policy resources already. You've probably already, we worked with parent leaders last spring to actually revise this policy. So if you had an engaged lead, an engaged parent or team, they should have already given some revision recommendations. If you're wondering what is, how can I get some policy resources, how to update our policies, I've actually linked the training that we offered last year on how to really update your policy and your compact and what those requirements were. So if you last spring updated your policy, that's all you, in your compact, that's all you need to turn in by October 31st. You don't need to update it again. Lastly, it's absolutely good. Now, if you have not updated it yet, and you don't know when you're going to be able to meet with your team to update it by October 31st, get us what you have. And again, I will explain how your school can participate in our family engagement support. And if they're participating, the work that we do will support the team in updating your policy. So again, whatever you have from last spring is totally fine to turn in. It's due October 31st. All right, so we'll need just a copy. So this should already be pretty easy. So we'll need a copy of your policy and your compact. So that takes care of your fourth requirement. The fifth requirement is that you submit a parent advisory council representative and a family engagement team member. Now, this is new this year. So we are breaking the support that we're offering in 3 levels. So level 1 is just very general. We'll offer general information about, policies, very general information about how to engage with families in the form of webinars. We'll also just allow our parents to participate in, large trainings and kind of like what we've done in the past. Now, level 2, it goes a lot deeper to where we're starting to really work intensive with your teams. Their funding can get additional funding for different activities. And level 3 is even more involved to where we're really trying to establish a very strong partnership with your families, the community, and your staff. So level 3 is much more support that will be offered in partnership with NCFL. Now, I say that to say, once you submit that form to tell me which level of support you need, in that form, you are going to be fulfilling requirement number 5, okay? So in that form, you will have to tell us who do you want to have as your family engagement contact, that's your team leader, and then who do you want to include as your parent leader, that's your parent advisory council representative. So if you complete the form that'll tell us if you're at support level 1, 2, or 3, that's already going to get us requirement number 5. All right, so number 6 is something that'll be ongoing. So it's really required that each year you all are getting input from your families on, how engaged are they? Are they getting information? Do they understand the policy? So we're super excited because last year was the first year that we were able to combine this requirement with our CSS, our Comprehensive School Survey. And thankfully, you will not have to have a separate survey again. Now, I'm not sure what CSS Comprehensive School Survey will look like this year in our NTI world, but again, we will be able to combine that review with our CSS survey. Now, in addition to that, as we support your school in levels 1, 2, and 3, and you see I have there again, choose your support level. As we support your school, we're also going to support you on ways to get ongoing feedback. So we'll provide different exit slips you may use. We'll provide different surveys that you may use at different events so that you're getting ongoing feedback. So the biggest thing is that you have record of, we're checking in with our families, not only that, summative time with a comprehensive school survey, but we're also checking in ongoing. And so again, when you choose your support level, we will help you with that. Keeping in mind that we will offer a lot of support at level 3, targeted support at level 2, and very, very general support at level 1. So you all choose. And so again, in continuation of that, number 7 is that summative evaluation that you have to do. And again, that is going to be your comprehensive school survey. All right, and lastly, you have to spend some money, guys. So every Title I school receives a specific parent and family engagement amount, and you are to spend that with consideration of what your families need, what your community needs, what learning needs your students have. So you are using that money. It should also be tied to your school goals. So if you know that your school is focusing on, if you have a literacy goal or if you have certain goals that you're focusing on, the funds that you're using for your family, for family engagement, should think of, how do I better engage families in our school, planning our school goals? So again, some examples may be to support families with literacy strategies or materials they can use at home. So some families are purchasing and explaining books to families, maybe how they can do some reading at home, and then actually purchasing books for them. So in order for schools to purchase, you have to submit a form for approval before you make your purchase. I've included a link on where you can find your forms, and then you'll send them to Karen Moore or to the JCPS form site. Now, I will tell you, when we transitioned during NTI, for a while, we did not have access to our PFE form site. But so if that happens, I'm just suggesting that you include Karen Moore when you send those forms on what you want to purchase. Now, Karen Moore has been reaching out to your bookkeepers. So if any school bookkeeper, if you'll reference any message you've received from Karen Moore regarding parent involvement funds or parent and family engagement funds, she's sent a lot of updates to bookkeepers already, and has also included the forms that bookkeepers will need to submit.
All right, thank you, Crystal. And I do want to encourage everyone that if you need suggestions or you're looking for ideas for how to engage with your families, especially during this strange time of NTI, please reach out to Crystal. She is creative. She's happy to work with you and your team and help you come up with the best solutions for your particular school setting. So I'm going to go over some other Title I requirements that we need to review here for the beginning of the year. One of them is a required notification that parents are to get if you have a classroom where students are being taught by a non-certified teacher in a core subject for 4 or more consecutive weeks. That is part of the federal law. And if you are in a situation where you have a vacancy in your school in a core subject and you have not been able to fill it yet, you have a long-term sub there, but not a certified teacher. Once you hit the 4-week mark, you do need to send home a notification to let parents know this. Now, the good news is I have a sample letter for you for your schools to use. It's available in the Title I Principals Shared Drive. And I just updated that drive today so that I have even all of our new Title I principles added to that. And there are lots of resources in that drive. But one of them is the sample letter. So you could make a copy of it and then add your school information and share it with the students in that classroom where there is not a certified teacher for a core subject. Something else that is a requirement for all of our schools that are paying any staff with federal funds, and most of our Title I schools are paying at least 1 or 2 staff members with their Title I funds. We are required to do time and effort documentation. We're documenting that the person is actually doing the work that's supported by this grant. So there is a semi-annual form that's twice a year that needs to be filled out and signed by the employee that is paid with federal funds, and then signed by the principal, and those are to be kept on file. Typically, we recommend doing this at the end of July and then again January 1st. And if you do that, you'll have all of your documentation that you need to have. This applies if someone is paid 100% with Title I, or it could be that they're paid partially with Title I and partially with general fund or some other funding source. It doesn't matter, as long as they are paid in some way with federal funds, you must do this semi-annual certification. This is also a requirement for our schools that have school improvement grants and school improvement funds. If you are paying for any staff members out of those grant sources, then you also are required to do that semi-annual certification. I do have sample forms for these as well, available in the Title I Principles Shared Google Drive. There is one form that states a person is paid solely or 100% from Title I or from a federal fund. And then there's another form if a person is split funded. So you can choose the one that's appropriate. I suggest maybe having the school secretary get these to the staff. They'll be able to look up and verify who is paid with federal funds. They can have the employee fill it out and sign, and then the principal would sign. Also, here are these are the Title I funds that you have available to you. Because of the way that school years ended last spring, the federal government did give us some extensions on some of our grants. So I wanted to do a reminder for everyone for the different funding sources through Title I and when at the school level you need to have these spent. So the first one that's going to come due is your family engagement, your parent and family engagement funds, which are 310 FM. Those need to be spent up by September 30th of this year. And if you need suggestions, if you need help figuring out some appropriate ways, some meaningful ways to use those funds before that time, please contact Crystal. Now you have your 310 GM, which are your new family engagement funds. You still have the entire school year to spend those. This 310 FM is carried over from what you did not spend last year. Speaking of carryover funds, you also have some carryover for your instructional budgets. 310E, which was originally your grant for the 18-19 school year, that has been extended, so you have until March 31st of 2021 to spend up any funds left in 310E. 310F is your instructional budget that you got for last school year, and as always, you have a second year to spend those funds, so you have through June of 2021. And then you have your new instructional Title I budget, which is 310G, and you will have a full 2 school years to use those funds. If you have questions about any of this, please don't hesitate to get in touch with Karen Moore or me, and we can help you with any of that. Also, we have several new Title I principles. I don't know if any are watching today, but if you see this recording, please know that starting this week, Crystal and I will be getting in touch with you to schedule one-on-one meetings. There is a lot of Title I information that you're going to need to know, and we can talk about some of the things covered in this broadcast as well with you and how it pertains to your particular school. So don't worry, we are here to support you, new principals. To wrap things up, I wanted to give a reminder. You do have some things that need to be accomplished this fall as part of the federal requirements. First and foremost, we want to make sure that you get the name of your school family engagement lead and a parent representative for the district advisory council to Crystal. We want to get that taken care of right away. And then by October 31st, you need to review your SBDM policy and share that with your families. You need to review and finalize your school family compact for this year. And again, get that out to your families and hold your annual parent meeting, whether that's part of an open house or some other type meeting or a standalone meeting. Any of those are acceptable, but you do want to have some way to document that you held the meeting and that parents did attend and get the information that you provided. That wraps up what we have today. We are here for questions, and we certainly are at your disposal whenever you have questions about Title I, whether it be funding or budget questions, family engagement questions, requirements. Please don't hesitate to contact us. We are here and ready to help.
Thank you, Stacey. And I wanted to add too that for all of the requirements that you have, as long as you submit your support levels, we will help you with all of these things. So if you're wondering, how do I get support for my annual meeting, or what do I put in this policy? If you need help with that, the best thing to do is to make sure that you complete that support form and tell me who you have at your school that you'd like to be engaged with this work. So please, if anything for the parent and family engagement component, the thing that I need right away is your support form. So if you could please get that to me as soon as possible, we will make sure that whatever support you need with any of these requirements, we help you with it.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies. Very informative, at least from my end. I don't, not ever really had to deal that much with Title I funding and all of that, but I was interested to see the extension on all of the dates, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that probably need to know that. So it's great information.
Do we have any questions come through in the chat?
There were no questions in the chat.
All right. Thank you for having us.
No problem. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. You guys are welcome on the Learning Channel. Love having you. And I see Ryan hanging out in the background here.
Hey, how's it going? This is Ryan with Savage Learning.
Oh, outstanding. Are you here for the Part 2 training?
Yes, sir. I'm doing the Savage Realize and Google Classroom Part 2 training. Yes.
Oh, excellent, excellent. All right. Well, they had me down as an on-demand video for that, but that is even better that I have someone live. Let me do a little talking here, and then I will turn it over to you.
All right. Sounds good.
It's amazing. Thank you, Ryan. So as we just heard, our 2 o'clock Savas Realize training will be live, showing Savas and the Google Classroom integration. At 3 o'clock and 3:30, we will have 2 on-demand episodes, one for Minecraft EDU on Chromebooks now, along with every other device in JCPS, if you request it. And School CNXT for Teachers for that communication tool, getting information to students and parents. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and take a copy of this and throw it into the chat for anyone looking for it. There we go. All right, new features, updates for Google Meet. Make sure you check that out if you haven't already. We have moved to 2 tools in the district for synchronous learning, which I'm sure you all know about at this point. We have Microsoft Teams, and we are welcoming back Google Meet. So we have those. If you haven't already, go ahead and check us out on Twitter at JCPS Dig In. And I apologize, I fooled you there because I jumped into mine, not JCPS Dig In. But if you go on there and you follow the hashtag JCPS Dig In or at JCPS Dig In, that's our digital innovation team, you will see lots of shout outs, happy news, and just interesting updates, much like the Minecraft Education Edition from Microsoft Remote Learning Month, all this month starting tomorrow, every Wednesday. All right, check that out. We have our meetups this week with the digital innovation leaders at the school is at 4 o'clock tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we have the STC meetup for all the STCs across the district. We usually do it in person, but don't fret. We're going to do it virtually because we miss you guys. We want to see you all, and we know we all like to come together. All right, so I'm Jim Unger. I work with JCPS Digital Innovation. You are watching the JCPS Digital Learning Channel, and I am very happy to be presenting Ryan to you from Savas. When he gets back. But until then.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. There we go.
No, you're all right. You're all right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I am Ryan with Savage Learning Company, and what I'd like to do with everyone today is just go over and or give you a brief overview of everything that you can do with your Realize/Google Classroom integration here. So let me go ahead and share my screen here so that way everybody can see what I'm talking about. Okay, and again, my name is Ryan Van Cole, and I am with Savage Learning Company. And what I want to show you today is give you an overview of all the capabilities and components that you have available with Savage Realize and how it functions with Google Classroom. Everything that I'm going to show you today, there are recorded tutorials and guides available that will explain essentially all that I'm going to cover today. But I just wanted to give you a real-time, quick overview of the different components and how you would use them in the classroom for what different scenarios and from there. All right, so here we have the Savvis Realize landing page. Many of you probably already know what this looks like. You probably have already gotten your Savvis Realize account set up, and you know that this is your landing page. So I want to point out some buttons that you have here. This first green circle here is the browse button. And this will allow you to go ahead and browse the different programs that you have available to you. I'm going to go ahead and choose it here. And you'll notice that since I'm on a demo account, I have many different programs available. I have some grade 1 literacy programs, grade 10 literacy program, an algebra 1 program, some middle school math, some science programs, etc. Now, as a classroom teacher, your program list won't be as extensive as mine. This one is just a demo account, so I want to be able to refer to any of the grade levels as I demo the functionality today. In your case, you're probably just going to have the one subject you teach if you're teaching middle school or high school. But if you're an elementary teacher, you might just have those 4 content areas. Maybe grade 3 literacy, grade 3 math, grade 3 social studies, and grade 3 science, or some version of that. All right. So that is that first page right here, that browse button. But I'm going to hit this button at the top left corner that says Savvis Realize. And this will take me back to that main landing page that we always start out on. I want to take you to this next button, this red circle that says Classes. You can either click this button to look at the classes, or at this top banner right here, you'll see that there is a button that says Classes as well. Let me choose that, and let me show you the class that I currently have already imported into Realize. So you'll notice that I already have a class imported into Realize, and I know it's a Google Classroom class. The reason I know it's a Google Classroom class is because I have this little icon at the top right of the, the image for the class, and it looks like a little Google Classroom icon here, a little green icon with the yellow outline. And that simply tells me that that was a class that I have imported from Google Classroom. You'll notice that you have a button here that allows you to sync with Google. And your Google Classroom class typically automatically syncs with Realize, so there's usually not a need to click this button. But if you want to manually sync your Realize account with your Google Classroom class, you can hit that button there. Additionally, you can go ahead and view this class in Google simply by clicking this button right here. It says View in Google. When you do that, you'll see that your Google Classroom class will pop up in a new tab. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, well, how do I import my Google Classroom class into Realize? How do I establish this functionality? Well, the way you do that is simply by choosing the button that says Import Google Classes. And I already have this class imported in here, but if you were to follow this process right here, it would give you the option to sign in to your Google Classroom account. From there, you would simply give the permissions for Realize to communicate with Google Classroom, choose your classes, and add your programs to each class. Once you do that, the 2 programs are connected together, so Realize and Google Classroom will be connected, and you'll come back to this page right here, which lists all of your classes. Now, I want to mention something. Sometimes, and it depends on how you set up your account, and this might not be an issue, but sometimes when you set up your classes, you may see some classes that do not have this Google Classroom logo. That means that that class was rostered using your student information system, your Jefferson County Student Information System, instead of Google Classroom. Now, don't worry about that. It's not a big deal, okay? but I do want to mention that if you have a class that does not have that Google logo on it, and you're expecting your students to use Google Classroom, you're going to want to hide it. You're just going to want to choose that button right here where I hover above until it turns blue, where it says hide class. I'm going to want to hide that class. And the whole point of hiding that class is to avoid any confusion for your students, so they're not accidentally submitting work or logging into the wrong rostered class. I believe that everything that we'd like for all of our students to do everything within their Google Classroom class to make it so that way they're not going to different locations in order to access their content. Now, once you hide that class, it's not gone forever. You can just hit this hidden button here, and you'll see that I have 2 classes here that were rostered differently because they don't have that Google Classroom icon, and I simply hid them. If I need to unhide them, I'll just choose that unhide button if necessary. That's not what I want to do. Okay, so let me go back to my current classes. Now, there are so many different things that you can do with your Google class now that it's rostered. First, you can see what students are in your class. So if I hover above this button that says students and groups until it turns blue, and I choose that, I can see that, oh, I have a student here. And this student, his first name is Happy, his last name is Student. I even see his Google Classroom email, and it shows me that he is properly connected. If I'd like, I can even change the student theme, okay? Let me show you what that student theme would look like. One of the themes is essentially, it looks very similar to what the teacher would see. This is the default theme. However, another theme option would be the early learning theme. And this is ideal for our kindergarten, first grade, or second grade students. Okay? As a teacher, you have the option of changing the theme either for the entire class to the early learning theme or the default theme, or you can change the theme just for specific students by choosing students and groups, and then choosing the option to change student theme. So just be mindful that you have that option there, all right? Now I'm back at that classes page, and I just wanna show you that there are some other things you can see as well. You can choose the button that says assignments and take a look at all of the assignments you've assigned for your students. Maybe I'd like to click on the calendar and see my assignments as in a calendar view. Perhaps I'd like to start a discussion prompt. Maybe I'd like to create a prompt and assign that to my students, and so on. You have your students in groups as well as your class settings. Now, I'm gonna go back to classes here, and I'm just gonna wait here a second and see, are there any questions, any burning questions right now about connecting Realize to your Google Classroom class?
Ryan, we have not had any questions as of yet, but I'm liking seeing all this connection going on, making it really easy to get these connected.
Yes, yes. It is pretty easy to get connected. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to point out something else. In order to verify that you've indeed connected Realize to the correct Google account, simply choose the button at the top right, this button with the silhouette and the triangle, and choose the option that says settings. Once you do that, you'll see that you're on a page that says account. From here, you can scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see that your account is linked to whatever Google Classroom account that you signed up with. You can only link your Realize account to one Google Classroom account at a time. So I would assume that you would link it to your Jefferson Schools Google Classroom account. You can even disconnect it here. I don't recommend that. I would only disconnect it if you accidentally connected it to the wrong Google Classroom account. All righty. So I'm going to go back to classes here. And before I move forward, I do want to talk about some support resources that will help you as a teacher get connected to Google Classroom and a resource that is available for students to help them understand how to use Google Classroom here. There is a YouTube playlist that we have available at Savage Learning that is designed to show very short video snippets about how to use Google Classroom and how to use Realize for both teachers and for students. So let me pull that up here. I happen to be on our YouTube playlist from Savage Learning Company. And go ahead and just choose this option here that says playlists. And you'll notice that there are some playlists that are designed specifically for teachers, some of them that have distance learning tips, and some playlists that are specifically designed for parents and teachers and students. So to our right here, we see one that says Savage Realize for parents and students. This playlist right here, if I were to go ahead and view the entire playlist, you'll see that it has resources on exploring your homepage, access classes and complete assignments, check grades and view feedback, accessing the e-text offline, etc. These are really short videos. You'll notice that the longest one is about 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and it's designed for you as a teacher to simply copy the URL and email a parent if they're having trouble with accessing the content, or maybe they have a really specific question like, hey, how do I view my grades? Or, how do I submit my work? Or, how do I navigate Realize? These videos are designed to explain that to them in a very concise way that pretty much takes that burden away from you and just has them watch that YouTube video so that way you can move on with just teaching. Let me show you another couple of videos that are available here. And this one is on Savage Realize and Google Classroom. So let me view that full playlist here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by playing a 1-minute video about what the student experience looks like. And that just gives you an idea of what the students encounter when they use Savage Realize and Google Classroom. So let's start there.
Hi, Stephanie from the Realize team here to share with you the improved student experience in Google Classroom. From logging in to reviewing results, students can access more content more easily than ever. Once you've imported your Google Classroom classes and assigned content, your students can simply log into Google Classroom and see their Realize assignment right in their class stream. After their first login, when they'll set up their account, you'll notice that students no longer need to log in separately to Realize. Once they're logged into their Google accounts, they can access any of their assigned work in Realize. When they've finished their assignment and submitted it, the status is automatically updated in Google Classroom. Students will then be able to see their scores right in Google Classroom or link back to Realize for more details on their results. It's as simple as that. One login and students have access to all their Realize content right in Google Classroom.
All right. So that just gives an overview of what it would look like from the student's perspective. But let me also show you a quick overview of what it looks like from the teacher's perspective as well.
Hi, it's Stephanie from the Realize team, and I'm so excited to share with you some new features that will enhance the way Realize works with Google Classroom. You'll have access to more content and more data in Google than ever before. Getting started couldn't be easier. First, you'll need to import your Google Classroom classes to Realize. Log into Realize and you'll see a new banner that provides access to the import feature, or check out the new import option in the settings menu. Once you're logged in, select the classes you want to connect with Realize, and then add the programs that you use with those classes. Your imported classes will always automatically stay up to date and in sync. Any changes made to your Google Classroom rosters will immediately be reflected in Realize. With these new enhancements, you aren't limited in the assignments you can make to your Google classes. You can easily customize and assign all assignable content to your classes, small groups, or individual students. And once you assign it in Realize, it will appear right in your Google class stream. Best of all, when your students complete assignments, you can both see the results in Google Classroom. Plus, you'll still have access to the detailed data reports on Realize on all of their graded assignments. Realize and Google Classroom now work together seamlessly for you and your students. Don't forget to preview the improved student experience and stay tuned for future enhancements.
All right. Now that you guys have seen that, I want to point out that there are some other videos available here for teachers that explain how to get the Realize and Google Classroom integration set up. So I'm not going to play those, but they pretty much explain, how to go ahead and connect your classes, how to create an assignment, and how do students log in and connect. All right. So just be mindful that those are available. Since these are YouTube videos, you can go ahead and copy the URLs available here and share that with your students. Or maybe you want to post these videos on your Google Classroom class stream. So, have that available to to students and parents who are curious about what can Realize do and how the Google Classroom experience looks like from their perspective. Now, let me go ahead and take you back into our platform here. And don't forget that when you click on this Savvis Realize button at the top left corner, that will take you to our main sort of landing page. In order to browse the content that you want to assign to your students, you'll hit that green circle, or you can either choose maybe the program or the couple of programs that are available here as a shortcut. Let me go ahead and choose that browse button. And I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to choose our Algebra 1 program here. Now, I want to point out some things. I am in our Algebra 1 program. This is the table of contents view. If I were to scroll down, I would see topic 1, topic 2, a benchmark test, topic 3, topic 4, and so on. This is as if I were looking through the actual physical textbook. If I were turning page by page within the table of contents, I would see all of this information. I also see some extra material like the Teacher's Edition e-text, the Interactive Student Edition, some classroom videos, and so on. I can switch this view from list view to thumbnail view if necessary. The thumbnail view is appropriate if you're like using a tablet and you just want to sort of touch on the tiles. Then the thumbnail view just gives you more space to accommodate your fingers. The list view is more appropriate if you're using either a laptop or a desktop computer. The icons and the tiles are just placed on top of each other to make it easier to scroll. Something else I want to point out is this toggle right here that says Show Distance Learning Resources. If I were to turn on this toggle, what this will do is that it will filter just those distance learning resources that I know that would be ideal for me to assign to my students. So when I hit that button here, you'll notice that only the materials that have this little icon right here that has this little sort of like book with a little house next to it, only those materials will show up. And I can see that, oh, maybe I'd like to assign at beginning of year assessment. And these are all of my topics. My topics are sort of like my chapters. And here are even the student edition PDFs. Maybe some of my students need offline access to the student edition. Maybe they don't have a consistent internet connection. So they may want to download these and have them available for them. Something else I want to point out as I scroll down, once I choose a topic, this will take me straight into the topic level view, or for some programs, it'll be called the chapter level view. In this case, a topic and a chapter are synonymous. Again, you'll see that distance learning toggle already activated. If I were to turn it off, I would see additional resources available for me. But if I turn it on, only those resources that are ideal for distance learning will be viewable in my topic level view. From here, I may choose to go straight into a lesson. So let me go ahead and choose lesson 1-3. Once I'm in lesson 1-3, again, I have that distance learning toggle activated. So I'll only see those resources that are ideal for distance learning. If I want to see all of the resources available, again, I would simply disable that distance learning toggle in order to see every single resource that I would use for both face-to-face instruction. Say I wanted to print out something and I'm doing something face-to-face with my students where they're in the actual building. Or there's also all of the resources that are ideal for distance learning as well. Again, you'll see that indicated with the distance learning icon that you see right here. Now, let me go ahead and turn on this toggle here. And let's say that, I've gotten to the point where I am ready to assign something to my students because I want them to complete an assignment here. Let's say I want them to do this Math Excel assignment. Let me go ahead and hover above this assign button until it turns blue. Once it turns blue, I can go ahead and hit assign, and that'll create a window that allows me to go ahead and assign this to my students. Now, you'll notice that I can rename this. By default, this is the name. You'll see that it'll give you the section number, and it'll tell you that, oh, this is a Math Excel for School practice and problem solving assignment. But perhaps I want to go ahead and rename this to Algebra 1 Homework, September 8th, 9/8. I'll choose a start date. I'll say this is going to start today, and I'll make it due, I don't know, maybe Friday the 11th. And maybe I want to include some additional instructions. Ensure that all work is done on a separate sheet of paper and upload a picture of completed work. All right. Now let me go ahead and assign this to a class. So once I start typing the first few characters of my class name, I'll notice that all of those classes that have that those same characters will pop up. In this case, I only have one class. So when I choose that, I'll see that that is indeed my Google Classroom class because it has that Google Classroom logo that we saw earlier. Also, let's say I have a student who joined my class late. So we know school started a couple of weeks ago, and I have a student that just got a schedule change today and just arrived in my class. And I want to go ahead and assign that student the work that was assigned last week to my other students. Since my student has just joined the class, this student will not see all the work that was assigned last week, only because they are now joining the class. In order to get that student to see that work, I would have to reassign it to that one student, and you can do that. So I know that my student who just joined the class, the student's name is Happy. So let me type in Happy, and I'll see, oh, there's my student, Happy student, and it tells me exactly what class he's from. In this case, the class name is just a generic name, and I can assign the content directly just to that student instead. Again, the only time you would use this is if you have a student, or maybe you're giving any specific student an extra assignment, or perhaps a student just joined your class and you've assigned something to the rest of the class already. You have that capability to assign it to that one student. All right. So if you hover above this little question mark here, it gives you some information about that as well. Now, you do also have the option to assign things between a specific time frame. So if I were to say that, you know what, I want this to be assigned today at, let's say, 4 p.m. and it'll be due Friday at 11:59 p.m., this assignment will not show up in your student's Google Classroom stream until 9/8/2020 at 4 p.m. And then it will be due on 9/11/2020 at whatever time I specify, in this case, 11:59 p.m. If I don't want that to happen, if I want this assignment to show up immediately, I can go ahead and just not set a start and end time, and it will be available once I assign it, and it will be due the date that I set as the due date. Now I can go ahead and choose assign here. And the moment I choose assign, I'll see that it says your assignment was created and realized and will appear in Google Classroom soon. So let's take a look at Google Classroom. Let me go to my Google Classroom class here. And I can see, let me refresh my page here. I can see that I have an assignment, all right? And this was assigned at 2:26 p.m. and it's due Friday, all right? So let's go ahead and click on it, and it says, all right, it's an Algebra 1 HW, Algebra 1 Homework 9/8. So I see that this is the assignment that I've assigned to my students, and I only have one student in my class. and he has not turned it in yet. Now, let's take a look at what this would look like from the student's perspective. So let me go ahead and log in as a student. Currently, this is me logging in as a student. I'm happy student. So you'll see here that this account, this Google Classroom account, is a student account. And I'm going to go ahead and choose my class here. And I see that I have this Algebra 1 homework assignment right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And I noticed that my teacher even left me some notes. The teacher told me to ensure that all work is done on a separate sheet of paper and upload a picture of completed work. All right. So in order for me to complete this assignment, I would simply click on this link here and it will take me directly to my assignment. Once I click on it, you'll see that I get the Savvis Realize countdown. And if I want to, I can simply just click this button that says take me there now and go directly into Savvis Realize. Notice that there is no separate login. Students do not have to use a separate username or password. Their same Google account that they logged in will take them directly to this as long as the classes were connected correctly. All right. Now, you'll see that I can work on this assignment here. So I have this 1-3 Math Excel for School Practice and Problem Solving. Go ahead and click on it and start. And see, do equations with variables on both sides have no solution, or can a variable just be on one side? Justify your answer. I don't know, let me go ahead and choose an answer. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure here. All right, and I got that one incorrect. Let me jump to another problem. I'm not sure about that one. So let me jump to some other questions here, since I just don't know those first few questions. Let me jump to number 10 here. I apologize. I know my internet connection is a little slow today. All right. Okay. So here I have to solve an equation here and check my solution. You know, so if I subtract 3x, I believe I'd get 15x on the right side. And if I were to subtract 7, I believe I'd get negative 10. So that would give me 10 over 15, which is 2/3, I believe. So let's see if I type that in. I don't know. I could be wrong. Oh, well, I got it wrong. I clearly don't know what this is. How does that? 5 goes into... yeah, well, I don't know. Okay. All right. And I could get some help if I need to and work on this assignment. I want to mention something else. As I'm navigating through this, you'll see that I'm jumping around to different questions. I can also leave this assignment. I can go ahead and choose Review Progress here. When I choose Review Progress, I can see all of the different questions that I've answered so far. So I've seen that, you know, I haven't answered any of the questions so far. And I can go in and out of the assignment as much as necessary until I'm ready to submit my work. Once I'm ready to submit my work, I would just hit this button right here that says Submit My Work. But remember, students can go in and out of their assignment and their answers will automatically be saved until they submit their work. So I'll go ahead and hit the button to submit my work here. And I see that I got 0%. You know, I can try it again if I need to, but I want to point out something else. I'm going to click this exit button here. And I want to point out that I already see that my assignment, these are assignments that I have not started, some in progress and some completed. I want to point out that with this assignment, I can see that I've got a 0% on this and that it's due on 9/11 at 11:59. But I can also attach some work to it. Maybe, you know, I showed all my work on a separate sheet of paper. I can go ahead and take a picture of that and attach that work directly from the computer and upload that with my digital submission of my homework assignment. Now, once I've submitted that, I'm going to go back to Google Classroom And I can see that Google Classroom has automatically updated. It's given me a 0 out of 100 because I didn't get any questions correct here. So my students can, so I know exactly what I got on this assignment. All right. And it shows me that I have no work attached here. Additionally, I can see that my student has turned this in. It says 1 turned in. And I can see my, now that I'm on the teacher side, I can see that this student got a 0 out of 100. They did not do well on this assignment. Okay? So you'll notice that both the teacher side and the student side of Google Classroom will automatically update when students submit assignments via Realize. I'm going to take another break to see if there are any pressing questions before I move on.
No, Ryan, you are rocking on, and we have not had any questions in the chat. You may carry on, sir.
All right, give me 1 second, please.
No problem, no problem. I will go ahead while we have that minute, and I will post our schedule into the chat for everyone out there. And they can see live links and everything that's going on.
All right, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Just had to answer the door really quick. Okay, let us move forward. Now, so I've seen that in my Google Classroom class, I can go back here and take a look at, grades that my students have submitted. I can go ahead and look at the different people. And I notice that I'm the only teacher and I have 1 student. I can see the classwork, what has been posted for everyone, and so on. Okay, so remember, this is the idea behind the Google Classroom Realize connection is to make your life easy. So that way your students know that they log into Google Classroom, and from there, they can go directly into our platform to do their work. And once it's submitted, all of that information is passed right back into Google Classroom. Let me show you some of the other support resources that are available for students in case they need help navigating Realize. So perhaps, once the students log into Google Classroom and go once they go into Google Classroom and log into Realize, they may need help navigating Realize just to do certain things, okay? So other than the YouTube videos that you have here that will explain to you how to, other videos.
Hi, Steph.
The videos that were designed for parents and students that explain how to navigate Realize. If you go under the playlist here and you were to choose the playlist that's for parents and students. Other than that, there are some videos available on the site called My Savvis Training. So if I were to go to mysavvistraining.com, the first thing I'd like to do is type in Realize. Once I type in Realize, I can scroll down and choose Savvis Realize here. And I can choose any of these modules here, either jump right in the classroom, show me the data, Realize in Google for Education, additional resources, or administrator tasks. What I like to do is I like to click the View All Training button. And then I can see training that is either specific to administrators, training specific to teachers, how to navigate content, how to assign content, how to create and manage groups, how to assign and manage discussion prompts. I can even scroll down and see things that are specific to Google. I have a stepped out guide, 7 steps guide that explain how to connect to Google Classroom and add students and verify students. I have a 5-minute overview video discussing the Realize and Google Classroom integration and some other resources as well. Now, I want to scroll down and I also want to point out that there is a section for students as well. So there is a Realize student guide on how to browse programs, explore their classes, complete class discussions, work on assignments, help for students and for our early learner students. These are our kindergarten, first grade, and second grade students, as well as their parents. If I needed any help with any of these, or I'm sorry, if I'd like to share any of these videos or tutorials or guides with parents or students, I'll simply click the I button here. And then I can copy this URL by highlighting it and just choosing copy and share that with a parent or with a student. Or I could also post this on my Google Classroom class stream so that way my students can help themselves. So I do want to let you guys know that that is available, because I know that a lot of parents may, from time to time, email you, or students may email you asking for help on how to navigate the platform or how to set up their Google Classroom account. All of that here is done for you. You'll simply choose the appropriate URL, the appropriate tutorial, and forward it to those parents and those students. I want to take a pause here to make sure that there are no questions.
Nope, you're looking good, Ryan.
All right. Now let me show you something else that I really like to show parents, teachers and students, and that is the online help for teachers available in Realize. So let me go back to Realize, and I want to point out that anytime you have a question, simply clicking on this question mark here and choosing help for this page, that will pop up a little hamburger menu with a small window that allows you to go ahead and get the help you need. You can either type in what you're looking for if you need help, or you can choose the hamburger menu here and say, maybe I need help with data. Let me click on data, right? Maybe I need class results by assignment. And this will tell you exactly what to do. And it also has little pop-up images available for you to get an idea of what it would look like once you navigate to that in Realize. Additionally, if this window is too small for you to see, you can just simply click this button that says Open in New Tab. And then you'll have a new tab where you have all of that support available to you as you navigate Realize. Something else I want to point out is if you were to hover above programs, you'll see different things that you can get help with programs, with classes. You can click this button that gives you a Google Classroom overview. And this is just another way to get support for Google Classroom and with the Realize integration. Okay? So you have all of that available to you as you are dealing with the distance learning situation that we're all in right now. All right. Now, the last thing I'd like to mention is I want to talk about what happens if a student simply wants to navigate Realize without having to have an assignment assigned to them. So far, I've shown you that the way students would log into Realize is by going into their class stream. Once they're in their class stream, they'd click on an assignment, and then they'd click on the link that will take them directly into Realize. But what if a student simply wants to navigate Realize to, let's say, explore the e-text? They don't have anything assigned to them. They just want to read up on the material that they're going to encounter in class tomorrow, or perhaps they are looking at an assignment that they submitted a week ago, and they just want to review it because they have an upcoming test this Friday, and they want to review that assignment to make sure they're prepared. Teachers can set perpetual links that will allow students to go directly into Realize by making it a materials assignment. And let me show you what that looks like. If I were to go to my Savage training, and just like before, if I choose Realize, I'm going to scroll down. I have the ability under the Google integration to get the instructions on how my students would access Realize directly from Google Classroom without an assignment. Once I click on this button here, it'll take me into the directions of how I would go ahead and do that for my students. So let me go ahead and show. I lost that window. Hold on, let me see if I can retrieve it again. There we go. So I have this direction, these directions right here that explain exactly what I would do in order to do that. So let me go ahead and put this on one side, and as a teacher, all right. So I have the instructions on my right side of the screen, and on my left side of the screen, I have my Google Classroom page, my Google Classroom stream here. So this explains exactly what I need to do in order to access Realize directly from Google Classroom or provide access to my students. First, it says sign into your Google Classroom teacher account. Click the class where you want the material link to Realize. So I'm in that current class right now. Next, it says click the classwork option at the top. So I can go ahead and choose that classwork button at the top. Then it says click create and then select material option. So I'm gonna hit create here and select material. And I'm gonna call this Realize Perpetual Access Link, okay? And I'll say that this link is used to explore Realize without an assignment. And I'll give it that description. Next, it says enter the following link, or first I have to go ahead and choose that button to add a link. So I'm gonna click add a link here, and I will go ahead and copy this URL. So go ahead and copy that. Let me paste that link right here. Once I do that, I can add the link, and this link right here would give my students the ability to sign in directly to Realize without an assignment. Now, once I hit that post button, that is now available for my students here. It says Realize Perpetual Access Link. And once my students click on that and go ahead and click there, it'll take them directly into Realize without them having to have an assignment, like me creating a math assignment or an English assignment and so on. It'll take me just directly to that landing page, okay? Now, I know that many of you know how to pin this somewhere, so that way your students will always see this. I'm not sure exactly how to do that. I'm not a Google Classroom expert.
Yeah, I was just thinking that one of the good ways to use that, Ryan, would be make it just one of your topics, because you can make topics and those kind of hang opposed to the stream that goes away over time.
Yeah, so could you walk me through how to do that? Can you tell me, or?
Not right now. Definitely our teachers know how to do that and make the topics. Okay. A lot of them will break up things by the week or by like their reading recovery or something like that. So it'd be good just to have that as a static topic that would only have that material in it.
Perfect. Well, with that said, I am going to share this right here in the chat. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'm sharing that URL. And that's something that, you know, is easy to set up. I just did it with you guys. It took me 7 steps. And as long as you post it as a topic, you'll have that perpetual access that students simply click on and go directly into Realize without having an assignment. And that is it. That is all I have for you, ladies and gentlemen, today. Are there any questions before, I guess, we transition to, I guess, the next appointment we have?
No, I have not seen any questions, Ryan. It was really interesting to see. You know, it was good. I saw the first one, and then I was really interested. I know a lot of our teachers will be, and this will be one of our big on-demand videos that they come back to, seeing how it integrates with the Google Classroom.
Thank you. All right.
And I really like that where you just that last piece right there, having them just to be able to get in there at any point to see what they need to outside of an assignment. That's very handy.
Thank you. All right. Well, I shared that link right there. And again, it is available on My Savage Training. You can find that there, but I did post that link in the chat box. I don't know if anybody can see that, but that is available there as well.
We appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you for being here today.
All right. Well, if that is all, I will go ahead and give you guys back 13 minutes to relax or take a break and go from there.
No problem, Ryan. You're our end of the day today. After this, all we have are some on-demand videos that we're going to put out, and people are going to check those out.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time, and good luck this school year. Take care, everyone.
All right, thank you, Ryan.
Bye.
All right, I am Jim Unger with the JCPS Digital Innovation. You are watching the JCPS Digital Learning Channel. Hope you had a good day of training. I had a good day of training. I enjoyed watching. Be sure, if you haven't, of course, I'm going to throw it out there, check us out at the JCPS Dig In hashtag and the @JCPS Dig In on Twitter. Follow us, get ideas, stay up to date, see lots of different things going on. We'll be seeing our digital innovation leaders tomorrow afternoon. And on Thursday afternoon, we see all of the STCs in the district coming together for big meetings covering lots of different information, helping our students learn. All right. And as I said, if you check out the schedule, which I posted, you will see we have 2 episodes that are linked here on demand. Minecraft EDU on Chromebooks has been very popular in my email inbox. Lots of questions, lots of things going on. Talks about the website in there with JCPS, how to access that on Chromebooks now, get that pushed out to your students. You also then at 3:30 or at your leisure, School CNXT for Teachers, another high demand training, wanting to know how to use that communication tool throughout the district. Stop by and check those out. I'm Jim Unger, and I'm out of here. Have a good afternoon. Maybe, if I end this.